It's specifically helpful to me right now because I have a baby. Not doing much for me yet. Summer chic. Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the vlog. Welcome to my messy library. We're on the floor as per at this point. I feel like I start a lot of vlogs on the floor, although it's been a while since I've vlogged, so I'm very excited for this week. I'm talking a little bit fast because I have to jet pretty soon. I have to go pick up my son from nursery. This is going to be very casual, but I do think it's going to lean to the bookish side. That is what the vibes are giving me. This is giving me very much book reading vlog vibes, but I don't want to set up any expectations just in case. But I thought I would take you guys along with me this week. I've got a couple exciting things happening. So tomorrow, because like I said, it's quite late in the day today, so I don't actually have much to share with you today, but tomorrow my sister-in-law is taking Peter for a couple hours and dropping me off at a bookstore. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I haven't been, our town that we live in doesn't have a bookstore. So the nearest one is near my sister-in-law, and usually I have to take a bus to get there, and it takes like half an hour, 40 minutes. But it's in a town that's hard to get to. So like the bus, it's all complicated when you have a baby. The bus is not conducive to traveling with a baby, the type of bus that takes you there. So I don't go a lot usually, unless I can find time to go alone. But my sister-in-law lives right next to the town with the bookshop, and she was like, I'll just drop you off and I'll take Peter and you can just come get him when you're done. Like couple hours, just go do something by yourself. And I was like, okay. Yes, please. So we're going to the bookstore tomorrow and we're buying stuff. I've already looked. I feel like I do that thing with bookshops that a lot of people do with restaurants. I mean, I do it with restaurants too. But you know how if you know where you're going for dinner, if you're going out for dinner, a lot of people will like look at the menu to see what they have and kind of plan ahead of time what they're going to get. I go into like bookshop websites and look up the books that I think I might want to buy and see if they have stock so that I can kind of make a plan. I don't know if anybody else does that. I've never heard of anybody else doing that, but I do that, especially since we moved here, because like I said, when we lived in Edinburgh, I could go to a bookshop whenever I wanted because there was a bookshop on every corner, but there's not one where we live. So strategic planning is involved. So we're going book shopping tomorrow. And then the rest of the week, I don't know. I've got work to do, got bits and pieces. I feel like there was something. Like I said, feeling bookish this week, feeling very booky. So I wanted to show you what I'm currently reading. I don't think I'll finish either of these books. This vlog, just because I don't get a whole lot of time to read at the moment. So like, I don't sit down and read for hours anymore. Usually I usually read at bedtime, and by the time I hit bed, I'm really tired. So I don't read very much at the moment, but I still enjoy it just as much as I did before. And I do read whenever I can in between work and crafting and momming. So yeah, I thought I'd show you what I'm reading at the moment. The first thing on the book I'm focusing on the most is Elizabeth of York, The Last White Rose by Alison Weir. I loved Alison Weir's Six Tudor Queens series. I inhaled them. I read them 2 years ago now, I think, around this time 2 years ago. I have never read so many chunky books, because like I said, Six Tudor Queens, there's 6 books. They're all fat. They're all really, really thick books. I've never read any book that quickly. I just flew through them. So I wanted to read her newest series. The 3rd one's actually come out, so I'm a little bit late to this one. I'm not loving this like I liked the Six Tudor Queen series, and if it was a standalone, I might DNF it. But I think the two following, I just don't find Elizabeth of York's story all that entertaining, at least not so far. Like she's still 18, I think, at this point, at the point where I'm at in the book. So she's not even gotten married yet. It's basically the whole book is taking place in one room. And it's just a little boring. You know, if you know Tudor history, which some of you may not, I was not really educated in Tudor history, so everything I know is kind of self-taught, and I've learned since moving to the UK. But Elizabeth of York was a sister of the princes in the Tower, who we assume, we don't know for sure, but we assume, and evidence suggests, that the princes were murdered in the Tower so that their uncle could become king. Elizabeth was their sister, so for a lot of her childhood and teenagehood, she was in hiding with her sisters and her mom. And like, I'm 200 pages in and she's just out of hiding. So yeah, it's not doing much for me yet, but it might do. And I do think the next 2 books are going to be good, because the one after this is about her son, Henry VIII. Come on now. And then the one after that is about Mary I, Henry VIII's daughter, Mary I, who was Bloody Mary. So I think those are going to be great. This one, though, is a bit slow. And then what I'm dipping in and out of, but I'm loving, is The Garden Against Time by Olivia Laing. I have known about this book's creation, existence, for like 3 or 4 years. I think that's when she started writing it. Like 3 or 4 years ago. It was like during the pandemic. Because that's when she moved into the house that she lives in now, which is the first garden she's ever had, like proper garden. And it's amazing. If you haven't seen Olivia Laing's Instagram, it's mostly about her garden. And it's incredible. Her house is beautiful too, but her garden's like insane. Anyway, you guys will know I love gardening. I spend a lot of time gardening. Our house has a garden. We're very lucky, and we grow flowers and food in our garden, and I just like reading about nature. So I have been waiting for this book for years, and it recently came out. I am savoring it like a piece of chocolate cake. I'm dipping in and out. I'm not rushing. I'm taking my time. I'm underlining. I'm highlighting. I'm just taking it all in because I have been waiting forever. I don't want to zoom through this. I just don't. So I'm taking it just bit by bit, but I am liking it. If I finish any book this week, though, and I'll put a picture of it here, it's probably going to be my audiobook. It's called get this right. I will put a picture of it. I believe it's called The Baby on the Fire Escape, and I cannot remember the author's name, but it will be right here for you to see. It's excellent. It's a nonfiction book about creative women and how they balanced or didn't balance creativity and motherhood, especially early motherhood. Some of you may know I am a mom now. I have Peter, I did mention my child is at nursery, but I do have a young baby. I guess he's still technically a baby, I guess. And I really struggle and have struggled balancing my creativity with being a mom, because it is so demanding. And all the other roles that I play, because we all play a whole lot of roles. Housework and being chronically ill and being a wife and a daughter-in-law and a sister-in-law and all of these things. So I really enjoyed this book for a lot of reasons, but the biggest reason is because it has basically made me feel not so alone, I guess. Like, I feel like, oh yeah, okay, pretty much everybody, but you know, every woman, especially creative women, have like struggled with this. Some women have thrived in it. Some women have completely found motherhood to fuel their creativity because it forces them to focus. I'll be honest, for me, for the last year, it's just stressed me out trying to balance both. But Peter is getting more and more independent. He moves by himself now. And it allows me to do a little bit more. It's still a lot. He's just one, but it does allow me to do a little bit more. So I really liked listening to this book and being like, okay, I'm not alone. These great women who have done all of these things have gone down in history as these incredibly creative, powerful people. Also had a time period where they were like, how does one mom and art? So yeah, I think I'm like 3 hours away from finishing that one. I think I've got about 3 hours left. So that's probably the one I'm most likely to finish. I don't know. The Garden Against Time, if I touch it once or twice this week, I'll be happy. Like I said, I'm taking this very slow. This one is just so big. I don't see a world in where I finish this in a week. Actually, well, how many pages is it? Because there's quite a big glossary in the back here. Okay, 503 pages. I'm on page, 194. It just seems very unlikely knowing how much I'm reading day to day at the moment. But you never know. We'll see. Like I said, my husband does have some extra time off. He has a long weekend, so I might get some extra opportunities to read, which would be great. As far as projects, what am I working on? Oh, I'm working on a couple quilts, so I'm hoping to get to those at some point this week. And I'm working on a pattern for something. I haven't really talked about that very much yet, I don't think. So I won't go into that, but I'm working on a pattern. So I'm hoping I think it's more likely that I'll finish that this week and order the supplies so that I can make a tester. That's me saying welcome to the vlog. I have to leave in 15 minutes to go and get my son and bring him home and be mom again. Switch on my mom brain again. But I'm so excited to be vlogging with you guys this week. Okay, my hair is too thick for this clip, so, oh my god. What is happening? Just stay. Just please stay. Just please stay in your clip. I had these really good clips that could grip all my hair, but they were cheap, so they kept breaking. I don't even think my hair is that thick. All right, this is the nursery pickup fit, but it's like 1,000 degrees. Well, it's not. It's like 20 degrees, which in Scotland is really fucking hot. It's too hot. So I don't even know if I will probably not need this jacket, but I love it and I want to wear it. So, oh my god, my hair just came out again. Anyway, summer chic, sort of. Okay, yeah, we gotta go get the kid. So, let's bounce.
I've heard a story, I've heard it said, I've come to believe that love is a bet. Sometimes you win and sometimes you lose, and sometimes it calls you right in the move. Come to my table, come to my bed, go easy.
Okay, you'll have to excuse the litany of sounds going on around me. It's the next morning and the dishwasher's on and the baby's watching Miss Rachel while he eats breakfast. I also wanted to give a book update for this book because I actually read quite a bit last night for me. I'm just about halfway. I think I've got like 10 pages till I'm technically halfway, but I'm just about halfway through, and it's getting better. More is happening is what I would say. More is happening. The thing with this is that the writing is not the problem. Like, Alison Weir is such a good writer, and I really like her stories. I think, unfortunately, the life of Elizabeth of York isn't giving her much to work with, so it just feels very slow and monotonous, because a lot happens kind of around Elizabeth but not involving Elizabeth. So a lot of the time it's just people coming to tell her information. But we are slowly getting there. Slowly. My husband did suggest, now that I'm about halfway through, putting it down and like picking up something that I'm more interested in, just to like pace it out so that I'm not just like forcing myself. And I won't lie, very tempting, because actually I got some book mail up here because it's a slightly better angle. So the first one I got is Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson. I heard Gavin from Gavin Reads It All talking about this and saying that he loved it. There's a sequel out, because I think this is a series. So there is a sequel out, and I think he said he really liked this, so I wanted to give this one a shot. It also, AJ Finn has a blurb on here that says it's Knives Out meets Richard Osman. A win. I love the Thursday Murder Club. I love Knives Out, so I think this is going to be really good. The next one is Murder in the Family. I heard Gabby talking about this and it sounded really interesting, and then from Gabby Reads. I'll link everybody I mentioned in the description box. Then she read it, because it's like mixed media. It's, I don't know if I'm one-handed here, but I don't know if you can't even really tell, but it's told in mixed media. She did a vlog where she like read this and a bunch of other mixed media books. She didn't actually end up liking this. She DNF'd it. I bought it before that vlog came out. I heard her talking about it in a haul. It sounded good. I might like it. It wasn't for her. I might like it. So I'm gonna give that one a go at some point. And then, so excited for this one. Happiness Falls by Angie Kim. I adored Miracle Creek when it came out. I devoured that book, and I've heard really good things about this too. So I'm incredibly intrigued. So I might pick up one of these. I don't know. Should I continue reading or should I take a break? I don't know. And then I've got a whole list of books that I want to look at in the bookshop today, as well as just like having a browse. I might get some ice cream while I'm in town. My favorite ice cream place is in town, so I might do that too. I don't know. I'm looking forward to doing some book shopping this afternoon. I just have to get through the morning and this appointment, get everything sorted, and then we can head off.
Easy in my head, bringing me fire, bringing me water, taking me high, taking me down. Give me your pretty, give me your messy, give me your happy, give me your sad. I may be staying, I may be going, I may be left, I may fall.
Okay, I have to try to be somewhat quiet because my husband is trying to put my son down for bed upstairs. But it's a few days later since we went book shopping, and I want to show you what I ended up getting. But I want to show you guys what I got when I was book shopping, and then since then, I also got a few more books in the mail. I've got a little bit of a reading update for you. So first, let's do a book haul. Shopping. So you guys came with me, kind of, to go book shopping. I ended up picking up 6 books, all of which I'm super excited about. So the first one is actually just a physical copy of what I've been reading on audio, and I only have like 45 minutes of this left. It's so good. Oh my god. I think everybody should read this. It's specifically helpful to me right now because I have a baby and I am a creative person and I attempt to make my living by being creative. But if you're at all interested in the lives of people who have, specifically women, who have changed the course of art and culture, this is incredible because it obviously it goes over, you know, their struggle between their art and their motherhood, but it also just talks about their life, the circumstances they grew up in, how that affected their work and their relationships, and it's just, oh, it's so good. So I'm on the last chapter, which is Angela Carter. And it's just, yeah, it's amazing. I knew I was going to want a physical copy. I can see myself rereading this in the future and highlighting a bunch of bits and going back to it to get like reading recommendations. So I got myself, funny story actually about this book as well. So I looked for it everywhere in the bookstore. There's like a million different categories it could be in, right? So I couldn't find it. So I asked someone to help me because I knew they had a copy. And it said that it was in the art section, but we looked there and it wasn't there. And it had ended up being filed in biography, which is a bit of a weird choice, to be fair. But it was in biography. And this guy spent like 20 minutes looking for this book. He was so nice. He spent like 20 minutes looking for this book. And then when he brought it to me, I was like, oh, thank you so much. Like, I knew I wanted to get it, but I saw the price. I was like, oh, that's way more expensive than I thought it was. I didn't say that, just in my head. But I couldn't not get it because he had spent so much time looking for this book. I mean, I was gonna get it anyway, and I supported my local indie. So that's good, but it was expensive. It was, well, more expensive than I was anticipating for how like thin it is, but it's a great book. Oh, I didn't say, it's The Baby on the Fire Escape, Creativity, Motherhood, and the Mind-Baby Problem by Julie Phillips. It's amazing. Please read it. Yeah, I love it. Oh yeah, okay, so the next book I got is Night Bitch by Rachel Yoder. This, from what I can tell, is like a little bit, how would I describe this? Surreal? Basically, it's about, you're gonna see a theme here. It's about a woman who has, how old is it? What is it? A 2-year-old son. And she is a full-time artist, but she is struggling. Her 2-year-old son does not sleep. From what it says on the back, it looks as if her husband is away a lot, so she ends up being alone most of the time, taking care of this child 24 hours a day who like will not sleep. And she ends up kind of losing her mind and going insane because sleep deprivation is awful and you do often feel that way. So she ends up kind of having these like visions and hallucinations, and yeah, it given my circumstances, although my son sleeps pretty well most of the time, to be honest, touch wood, that I haven't just jinxed it, but given the whole mother artist struggling to balance thing, I just thought that this would really appeal to me in a certain way. So I also love the cover. I don't know, something about this cover just gets me. Love it. Really happy I got that. Then I got some manga. So I think the only series I've read of manga in its entirety is Death Note, and I loved it. I don't have it anymore. I had it in Canada. I didn't bring it with me when I moved because it's a big commitment, so I'll probably have to rebuy it at some point. I did love it. But something I've started recently on Netflix as an anime is Spy Family, and I love it. So I read the first volume, adored it, and I wanted to get the next two. So I got volumes 2 and 3 of Spy Family. I think there's like 11 or 12 volumes. I can't afford to get them all at once, but I will get them kind of bit by bit. Right, I also got, this looks so cool. I also got the, I think you say Dollar Gut, the Dollar Gut Dream Department Store by Mai Lee. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. I'm so sorry. Translated by Sandy Johnsoon Lee. Look at the cover. How cool is that cover? I love it so much. So this is translated from the Korean, and it says, day and night, visitors, both human and animal, from all over the world shuffle in sleepily in their pajamas, lining up to purchase their latest adventure. Each floor in the department store sells a special kind of dream catered for each client. Meet Penny, an enthusiastic new hire, as she navigates the world within the famous Dollar Gut Dream department store, along with other salespeople led by the flamboyant owner, Dollar Gut himself. There is never a dull moment thanks to the curious, funny, and strange clientele that regularly visit the store. Follow along with Penny as she uncovers the workings of this wonderfully whimsical world. It sounds like it's going to be great. It sounds a little, what's the word, like magical realism, or maybe it's like straight up fantasy. I don't know, but it sounds like it's going to be great. I'm not gonna lie, the cover, I saw this on somebody's YouTube channel and it just totally caught me. So I'm looking forward to reading that one. And then the last one I picked up on our little book shopping outing is this edition of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Look at these sprayed edges, so pretty. I've actually never read this. I've never read this book. Everybody seems to love it. I want to give it a go. So I saw this really nice edition for a fairly reasonable price at Waterstones. I went for it. This is by Holly Jackson. It's a series, I'm pretty sure. Like, fairly certain there's 3 books in the series, and this is the first one. But I don't know anybody who's read this and didn't like it. I don't know one person who said that. And a couple books I got in the mail. One is another manga, actually. I saw this on Gabby from Gabby Reads. I saw it on her channel. I saw it on Gavin's channel. Gavin Reads It All. Is it all? Anyway, it sounds right up my alley. It's called Blood on the Tracks. I don't know if I'm remembering this correctly. I believe it's about a mother and a son, and the mother's a serial killer, and then she like gets her son involved in it or something. There's not much about it on the back. It's very ominous. It is a horror manga, and I do find those quite interesting. So I'm gonna give that one a go. And then I got a steal. So one of my favorite things to do is to browse the Oxfam online bookshop because they have some great deals. And there was this graphic novel I have wanted to read for probably 12 years, give or take. Certainly, maybe slightly less than that, maybe just like 10 years. Published in Great Britain in 2013. Yeah, so 10 or 11 years, pretty much since it came out, but it's always been way too expensive. And it was on Oxfam, the secondhand copy, for £12. It's normally, £20 UK, $40 Canadian, and I was in Canada when it came out because I didn't move here till 2015. And that is Lighter Than My Shadow by Katie Green. Now, major trigger warning for this one. This is about Katie Green's struggle with an eating disorder. And this is basically her graphic memoir of that time. Now, I had an eating disorder. I don't know which eating disorder she had, so I don't know exactly how triggering it's going to be. However, regardless of the fact that I did have an eating disorder growing up, I feel very strong in my recovery. I think I'm going to be okay, but obviously if at any point I feel like it's getting too much, I'll just put it down. But I've wanted to read it for a long time because I do find stories like this comforting in a way. I guess it's just that feeling of like not being alone and knowing that other people have been through similar things. But obviously treading lightly. I didn't pay $40 or 20 quid for it. So if I don't, you know, end up loving it, that's okay. I can donate it somewhere, library or a charity shop or something. But I do want to read it because I've had my eye on it for, like I said, pretty much since it came out. Because around 2014, 2015-ish, I think it was 2015 when I started on BookTube. I can't remember exactly. I think it was 2015, so almost a decade, and I've pretty much had my eye on it since then. But it's always been way too expensive. So, got a secondhand copy. It's in good condition, but we're going in with our well-being in mind. And then the last book I want to show you is also tied into my reading update. So I got, well, backstory. I've been binge watching Books and Lala, Kayla from Books and Lala's videos. I love her videos. I've loved her stuff for a long time. I've been binge watching her videos, and she runs the Literally Dead book club. Now, as you guys know, I've been reading that Alison Weir historical fiction. I'll put a picture of it here. The Elizabeth of York fictional biography. It's the first one in a series called The Tudor Rose, about like the Tudors, the line of Tudors. And it's don't get me wrong, it's good. The writing is great. It's Alison Weir and she's so good. And the details are good, but Elizabeth, I stick by what I said in that Elizabeth of York's life doesn't give her much to work with, because while a lot happened to Elizabeth of York, or like around her, you know, like the Princes in the Tower story were her brothers, and her husband has this whole thing of taking over the crown, and because she was a woman, and because of how that worked at that particular time for the Tudors, or the Yorks, or however you want to define it, it all kind of happens around her. So like the whole book is basically just people coming to report bad news. And she doesn't really do much except give birth, which is accurate. Like, that's the thing. It's not, nothing's wrong with that. It's accurate. It's pretty much what happened, you know, as far as we can tell anyway. As far as I know, I don't have like a really in-depth education in this kind of history because it just wasn't really taught at my Canadian high school. But it's a little boring, and I'm mainly reading it still to get to the other books in the series. The next one is of her son Henry VIII. The one after that is of Bloody Mary, his daughter Mary I. I don't know if there's going to be more. I would assume Elizabeth is going to come in at some point because I think it's just the line of reigning Tudors. I don't know. I have to look that up at some point, but the Mary I one just came out. So if there is going to be an Elizabeth one, Elizabeth I, not Elizabeth of York, the one I'm reading, Queen Elizabeth I, it won't be out for a while. But I'm pretty much reading it because it's setting me up for the rest of the series, right? And I've got less than 150 pages left. I've read a good amount this week. But oh man, is it dull. So bringing those two storylines together, I have been feeling like reading a thriller. So I went on the Literally Dead book club page and just saw what they were reading this month and looked it up and was like, yeah, that looks interesting to me. So I ordered Sisters of the Lost Nation by Nick Medina. I have just read this evening so far 27 pages, and I am obsessed with this book to the point where I'm almost concerned I won't get any sleep tonight between the baby possibly waking up and me just not being able to put this down. This is a kind of like myth retelling / thriller about a girl on a reservation. She's an Indigenous woman on a reservation, and the other kind of teenage girls around her keep going missing. And she has to find out, she wants to find out, she does find out what happens to them. I would assume she finds out. Maybe she doesn't. I don't know. I haven't finished it. But she goes to find out what happens. She tries to find out what happens to them. And, I mean, the first almost not even 30 pages were gripping. So good. So good. So I'm going to take a break from the Elizabeth of York book. But yeah, that's the reading update. That's the book haul. Just gonna, and I think I'm just gonna read for the next little while.
Come to my table, come to my bed, go easy my hunger, easy my head, bringing me fire, bringing me water, taking me high, taking me down.
Okay, so we're doing another check-in. This might be my last check-in. I'm not 100% sure, but basically I've got news. I've got things to share. So you'll have to excuse the way I look. I've been up since 4:30 this morning. I've got half an hour left of the Baby on the Fire escape, which I may or may not finish today. I'm not 100% sure. I love this. It's getting 5 stars. Unless something drastically bad happens in the last 30 minutes, which I doubt. Yeah, this is undoubtedly a 5-star book. I need somebody else to read this, and it doesn't matter if you have kids or not. Somebody else needs to read this book. It's so good. It's so good. I love it. So yeah, only 30 minutes left, but I can already tell you it's giving 5 stars. It's giving 5 stars. So I need to finish that, but I know what my rating is. An update for Sisters of the Lost Nation. Oh my god. Okay, so I stayed up late last night reading this. May or may not have been a mistake. I didn't know I was going to get up at 4:30 this morning. It's so good. Like, I'm on page 114. Excuse the dog. I'm on page 114, and just for context, right? This afternoon, I was supposed to do a sit-down video, and that was a video that was going to go up this week. And then this vlog was going to go up the next week. I'm switching, and this vlog is going up this week, and I'll do a sit-down video for next week later. I'll film it on another day when the boys are at nursery and work, because I need to know what the fuck is gonna happen in this book. It's so good. Like, we're at the point now where our main character, Anna, who I love and is such a well fleshed out character, so all the characters in this book have really just come alive. I think they're so well fleshed out. Anna basically is telling the story of these disappearances and how they link into the myths of her tribe. And then her sister goes missing. That's where we're at. It's not a spoiler. That's the main mystery of the book. So, and it happens fairly early on. So her sister goes missing, and that's kind of what jump starts her into looking into these disappearances, which is good, because I think when I was explaining it last night, it wasn't 100% clear why Anna cared so much about the disappearances of all these girls, other than she herself being a teenage woman. I'm so sorry. Which obviously is information enough, but when we get to the book, you know, Anna's 17. These disappearances have been happening for a really long time. So it's kind of like, well, why now? That's why. I will say I stayed away from the synopsis largely when I ordered it. Once I heard that it was like a mystery thriller, a mystery thriller mixed with the myths and legend of this indigenous tribe, I was sold. I didn't really need to look any more than that. But yeah, her sister has gone missing, which is what kind of catapults her into looking into all of these disappearances. Oh my God, it's so good. It's so good. I'm on the edge of my seat. I was literally last night falling asleep reading it, like one more chapter. I can do one more chapter because I didn't want to put it down. I love it. So I was, like I said, I was supposed to film this afternoon while the boys are out running errands. Not gonna happen because I won't read tomorrow, likely. We've got friends coming over, they're staying overnight, and then, they're staying overnight. So I likely won't be able to read more than a couple pages before bed tomorrow, which is fine. I'm really looking forward to seeing my friends. But I want to read as much of this as possible because I'm fucking dying. I need to know what happens. I haven't felt this way about a book in so long. We might have 2 5 stars. What? We might have 2 5 stars. That's all I'm saying. Like, yeah. I mean, this is definitely a 5 star. We know that. But like, I'm about a third of the way through that section there. It's about a third. How many pages is this? Yeah, so this is just over 300 pages. So I'm about a third of the way through. And I love it so much. So I'm going to read more now and just continue the vibes. I'm continuing the vibes, and hopefully I can get a good chunk in before everybody comes home and I have to start cleaning and cooking dinner. Haven't read any more since I picked this up yesterday. I haven't read any more of the Elizabeth of York book. I think I probably won't pick that up again until I'm done this one because I'm completely invested. Kind of forgot I was reading the Elizabeth of York one. Oops. Which, once again, I'll say, it's not that it's bad. It's good. It's good. There's just not it's a long book, which, quite frankly, in my opinion, there's not a lot to work with. Because Elizabeth just kind of surrounds the drama. She's not actually in much of it. You know, it's not like reading Alison Weir's 6 Tudor Queen series. That's what it's called. Yeah. Because, you know, each queen is involved in her own drama. Whereas Elizabeth of York was always kind of on the peripheral. She was always kind of on the edge of all the drama, but not actually in it. So it's mostly just people coming and being like, oh, your brothers are in the tower. We think they have died. Or your husband has won a war or not, you know? So there's just not a whole lot to work with, and I am in the mood for a page turner, and hot damn has this given me that. So I'm gonna go read some more.
Come to my table, come to my bed, go easy my hunger, easy my head, bringing me fire.